We got some Q&A. Actually, we got some comments in for you, Deb. Joe Kronowski says you're one of his heroes. Janice says that you are leadership. Jasmine said, even someone at Deb's level can benefit from masterminds. And that's so true, Lisa. Like, I think everybody learns something, even if they've already, like, I've already heard Alex speak, I've already heard Forbes, but I learned something new from every single speaker today because they came with a servant heart.
Without a doubt. And you know what? I don't see any other way as far as where we are today, but to use collaboration of other people, listen and learn. I always pick up. I'm with you. No matter how much I know, and I know a lot, I always pick up something. So we're going to have you come back in a second, Sarah. We're going to do the panel in a moment. I just want to do some quick things, and then we'll have everybody come back and join us. So
awesome.
As you're here, and I'm excited that you're here, I just want to remind you that we had some of the most influential, smartest people with us today, and I'm super excited because they're going to be staying with us a little bit longer. And I want to remind you that if you're not where you want to be and you realize the power of connecting and having a mentor, an advisor, counsel, a mastermind, take advantage of the offer we have right now and go to helpbusinessesthrive.com/apply. And let's see if and how we can support you and what that will look like. I'll let you know that where you are right now can be exponentially bigger within a very short period of time. Opportunity is better than it's ever been. All you need to do is take the step back, look at it from a different perspective, and see really what you can do. And when you get a handle on that, you'll open up doors that you never even thought possible. And I look forward to having the opportunity to do that with you. In addition, I just want to share that these amazing people who have been with us all day have, without a doubt, give their heart, gave so much amazing information, have just fed you. If you haven't felt fed, I feel like I've just been given a main course of unbelievable wisdom and experience and information that you can apply to your business to see results. If you have not written notes and notes of things that you can be doing to get your name out there, to expand your network, to be able to market yourself, to pitch yourself, to be able to leverage your income, to all the different things you do, that means you just weren't listening. And if you were listening, then please take action. So I challenge you to write down 3 things, and why I say it's about the taking action. Joseph talked about that. Write down 3 things that you're going to commit to right now that you're going to have done by the end of the weekend. Whether it's a connection you need to make, a decision you need to make, an action you have to do. Write 3 things that you're going to commit to and share it on social media, share it in the post. Let me know. And put it as a public declaration. Here's one thing I know is everything I do, when I do put it out and I say I'm going to do this, I do, because I never want to be not true to my word. And if you're anything like me, then I suggest put it out there. Take the action and watch the results happen. You heard Sharon Lecter say earlier, you make the decision. Actually, it wasn't just Sharon said it. Several people said it. Forbes said it. Earlier today, I'm trying to think. Amber Lee said it. I mean, we were talking about, without even talking about the secret, about putting in a clear distinction of what you want and how it's going to look, and material, manifesting it. I think Forbes went there, manifesting it, making it your reality. What are some of the things you're going to commit to? What are the things you're going to fulfill? And instead of making excuses, make your reasons for not your reasons to. And at this time, what I want to do is take the opportunity to bring back some of our speakers who are still with us here. We're going to actually answer them, and we're going to have a little discussion. We're going to have a panel discussion because so much information has already come by. So join us for that. And I hear pinging for some reason. And let's see who's with us still, and we're going to have this open conversation. Okay. I do not know why the pinging, but join us if you're still here, and we're going to answer some of the questions. I'm looking to pull them up. There we go. Hi, Tara. Okay. There, Dolores, Jan's still here, Dr. Roger, Lauren, some of the people still here. We'd love to have you join us. So why don't we start? I think with all the conversations that we've had, and and I'm looking for the questions. I think they're actually texting me or something, but every time they ping, it's actually affecting my computer. Let me see how I can stop this. 1 second.
Hey, Lisa?
Yes?
If you click on more, the play enter exit chime should be off.
If
So it says invite, mute all, unmute all, then more.
More for who?
For you.
I just have edit profile.
No, underneath where it has the list of panelists.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it says invite, mute all, unmute all, more.
Okay, we're gonna just move forward. I saw more and it doesn't have that option, hon.
Okay, maybe.
No worries. No worries, we're good. So here's what I'd like to do. Let's just have an open discussion. Sarah, if there's any specific questions you saw, we'll field those as well. But ladies, if there's something you want to continue on a thought we were talking about, or there are questions that we have specifically, let's just pull them out and see how we can support people even more. Who'd like to start?
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like we got some feedback from Belinda. Belinda said her takeaways were her 3 commitments, a website, she's going to complete her logo, and the Joseph McClendon Challenge. Anne Marie wants to know, how do I find more breast cancer thrivers like myself to mentor and support them throughout their journey?
Okay. Well, I mean, really what's interesting about breast cancer or any challenge out there, quite honestly, if you just go into social media groups, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or anything, anywhere there's groups, and you just put in like hashtag breast cancer or survivor, you're going to find different groups and people that have that challenge. You can also go into Google and do Google alerts, or even and actually have things come up when there are events and other people who are supporting it. There's Cancer Cares. There's a lot of different organizations. I had a client some years back who had gone through that. I have several clients, as a matter of fact, not one. I can think of 3 specifically. And one of the things that we found is what didn't start out as working with people with breast cancer, but when she got it, it became her mission. And she started becoming, she was a coach already, and she started counseling people because that was her direction. And when you start having those conversations, you'll find all the groups that actually have your clients in it.
There's also Meetup. I mean, obviously they're not meeting up the way they used to, but they're still thriving. And you can put in a search for any type of group, and you can find them in that.
Renee Reish suggested Chemo Buddies for Life. Her good friend Tamara Hunter is the founder and CEO. She'd love to connect you. I noticed that Facebook likes to suggest other groups once you actually get into a new group. So that's one of the cool things. When you're in one of those groups, look at your suggested groups and they'll pop up.
Awesome. Anyone else want to contribute anything to that one?
If they private message me, I can connect them with a direct contact for people who are for their exact target that they're looking for.
Thank you, Dr. Roger.
Okay, no problem.
Any other specific questions, or can I go off on a tangent? You're good?
You're free to go off on a tangent. I elicited some questions that are coming in, so you got time.
Okay, awesome. So some of the things that I found super interesting, Alec, you started talking about, you had gone in many different directions with channels, and it seemed to be a consistent theme that people weren't utilizing the opportunities of other people, still going one-to-one versus one-to-many. Can you give us other ideas of things of how businesses can collaborate and find channels for themselves?
Sure. Yeah. So I think the general point, knowing your target market, like if you know the bullseye of your target market, there's at least 15 categories of channel partner types for every business or nonprofit or any organization. 15 categories. The one we all share is the association and member orgs, which are local, regional, national. There's networking groups, and then there are ones that meet for thought leadership, and they usually pay a membership fee. And so your target customer is hanging out in these different organizations. And there's multiple ones, and so for small business, there's chambers, there's BNI, there's SCORE and SBDC organizations, the SBA. There's a lot of places small businesses hang out. So if you insert yourself with some thought leadership or some best practices, they'll want to share what you're doing to those organizations. So that's just one category, and there's a ton underneath it. And so when you think of other categories, there's local trusted resources that work with your small business, your sort of, in this case, if it was small business, local trusted resources that work with your target market. So it's, consultants and web developers, marketing agencies, PR firms, et cetera. Then there's larger organizations that would be considered almost like marketplaces where small businesses hang out. So for example, Amex Open, Amex Open has 4 million or 5 million small businesses, at least in their merchant services program. And again, you could work to get your way in to expose what you're doing. And if you lead with value, they don't want to hear a special price or this or that. If you lead with value, best practices, and thought leadership, you get your way into those. And so most people don't know this, but again, I always go back to Constant Contact. It's the one everyone knows, but starting eight companies, that's the one everyone knows. And so we were 100% channels when we started. We couldn't go door to door selling a small business. I went door to door and found 4, but then channels was the answer. Alliances, strategic partnerships, where we got in front of our target customer in this one-to-many scenario versus one-to-one direct. Through those partnerships, when we sold the company 18 years later for $1.1 billion, we had over 8,000 channel partners. So it was 100% of what we did when we started, and it stayed the most. The most of our business was derived through that, because then once that engine got going, we raised some money. We could do our own marketing. So 25% came from our own marketing, and 50% of our business came from referral. So someone seeing something in an inbox or a customer telling them, hey, I use this great product, Constant Contact. So we found a way to get the marketing engine going in other areas. But channels is the answer. And when someone asks you how you're going to scale your business, channels is the answer. It's not hire another 100 salespeople. And so I could go further onto other categories, but as you do this, get on a whiteboard or, clear a table and just start, with Stick'em, start writing down different areas like who is in front of your target customer. And small businesses, it's POS systems, it's vertical applications, nonprofits, it's the donor management app or the church management app, or there's all kinds of folks that are working with the data that target customer is collecting, and you just figure out what you do to assist in plugging in.
That's awesome. And the truth is that it goes back to knowing who your ideal client is what I was talking about today, is knowing them so well that you give them a name and you say, like, mine's Samantha. I know Samantha's going to networking meetings. I know that she needs a merchant account. I know that she needs websites. I know that she needs this. So all those people become channels that we can be working through to be leading us to our, I'll call her my Samantha, but whoever your ideal client is. And that's so critical. And, you call it channels, and for years I saw it as joint ventures and affiliates. And
yeah, so the nomenclature in this is wide, and it also, some of them have, so for example, if you say affiliate to a strategic partner, they're gonna say, oh, that's not for us, because they think it's very low level and it's, a few dollars here and there, and they're thinking bigger. If you go to like franchise systems, they're going to say, well, do you have, like, if you went to Constant Contact site, it says we have a franchise program and a affiliate program. We have a referral program, a co-marketing program. We have all these programs. Under the covers, don't tweet this, they were all the same. You're just talking to them like, yo, so you work with other people like us. We had over 1,000 franchise brands that had all of the local franchisees using the system. But they at first they were like, this isn't for us. So we're like, we got to just put that we work with franchise, systems. And all of a sudden they were like, oh, great, tell us about it. So you just have to just be careful of what you do call it, because like affiliate and referral is very low on the totem pole. Co-marketing and then or co-branding, and then as you work your way up to bundling or integrating or where there's a reseller or a business partner that's buying and bundling, and like you kind of can move up the food chain. But some are sensitive to what you referred to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it goes back to branding and wording. It's like they need to recognize that it's going to benefit them. And if you don't know their languages, you're not getting in.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah. And the last thing on target market is, if you had a dartboard, the bullseye that's your target market. If I asked everyone that's on here, define what small businesses mean to you, we're going to get all 10 different answers. And it might be by size or number of employees, number of customers, revenue, geography, like all kinds of different answers. And so you have to be so laser focused on exactly who it is. And in Constant Contact's case, it was the V in very small business. Like we had, I think we had, so 70% of our customers had 10 employees or less, and 20% had 1 employee, solopreneur. Like we just knew exactly who our target was. And we stayed in our lane. We didn't go up market and try to do enterprise, this, that, and the other, which, there's a lot of pressure from investors and others. Well, go up market. Why get $20 a month when you can get $10,000 a month? Imagine that. Well, it wasn't going to work, to go up market. We were the easy to use self-service tool, and they could graduate to the HubSpots and Infusionsoft or whoever later if that suited them, Bronto Mail, et cetera. Exact target. We stayed in our lane and mastered that and won that category.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I just think that I work with the very pre-startup entrepreneur, and it works the same whether it's like everyone says big companies can do that, but you don't have the budget and you don't have the resources to do it. You have to rely on partnerships. And if you know your avatar and where they shop and who they do, and it doesn't have to be that you're aligning with, Target or even Constant Contact. Constant Contact's a great one because they'll talk to the smaller entrepreneur because that's their target audience. But you can talk to the local car dealership and do a program. You can talk to the jeweler that has your target audience. They have resources that are different, complementary resources. Get into that sweet spot. If you have product and they have advertising, that's great. It doesn't have to be dollars.
Yeah, and you raise a good point. And a lot of these partnerships, so car dealerships and franchise and others, corporate will pay for it for all of them. Like, I was doing deals like, we'll buy 10,000 accounts. We'll buy them all for our folks because we have a ad marketing budget, and this would fall right into providing a service that's going to help them market better. And so there's also the leverage with some of these where you don't have to go door to door still. Or have to sell it yourself. Some will actually pick it up and buy it for all the dealerships in the family or whatever it may be.
Right.
Years ago, I used to sell marketing advertising, and one of the things that we had done is co-op advertising money. So that they would end up being at you can do the ad, but a certain percentage of the ad had to be their logo, like maybe 30% or something. But they'd get a good stipend that would cover their expenses, and they'd co-op advertising. So it's the same idea here as well. Yeah. So when you're scaling something like that, and we call it a channel, and this can go for anyone and not just Alec, if you call it a channel, say there's a new business, and this is not anybody specific, but I'm just thinking of different clients that I deal with, and say they're a new business and they want to go to these bigger companies that have the channels for them. How do you suggest they present themselves? I understand value, but how do they present themselves when they're still small and these others may be big?
Yeah, so I did it. I've done it my whole career. So I'll lead with a quick answer. And so the first thing is I always tell people, first you got to grow up with who you are. And I'll ask how many of you have an email address that ends in Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, or if you're older, AOL or whatever. Like 30% of the room raises their hand. I'm like, okay, you have a domain, and you have even a landing page, if not a website, but you can't spend $5 and use your branded email. Like, how serious is someone going to take you? So think of the things to just brand yourself so you look big. So I call it look big, act big, become big. So what's the perception around looking big? If you're going to go call somebody, create 5 slides. Who we are, what we do, what makes us unique, what our customers are saying, and what would a partnership or how could we work together? 5 quick slides, you brand it with your colors, your logo, and then you own the call, because now we're so used to the Twitter and others have created this like short little conversations, short little sentences. But when you get on that call, and now it's with Zoom, you know, you could say, look, I just created some slides to frame the conversation. Do you mind if I kick off with that? You own that call, and you shows the slides, and you save a PDF afterwards. You send it to them. They don't have to play the telephone game. They can revisit it or share it with their peers. Then on the next call with the peers, you're like, you know, I've created these slides, and I know we sent it over. Some of you have seen it, but just to level set, do you mind if I kick off the call and share a few slides of framing the conversation? And they always say yes on both of those. And so you now look bigger than you are, and in some cases you finish that, and they're like, "How big are you guys anyway?" And so I would count myself as 3. So me, myself, and I, and this one over here had 2 personalities, so that's 5. You know, like
Gemini plus 2.
It's all perception. So that's for me. And I've done it my whole career, and I coach so many to get over the fear of having that first call. And the last thing I just want to say real quick, those partnerships sometimes could take a year. So you're going to wait to make the call because we're not ready. We got to work on our website. Product needs a little more, whatever. Make the call. You know, you can go get 3, 4. You know, we got 4 references, and so I had 4 folks that I didn't know that were gave us brutal feedback, and they became our references. So I had those 4 references. We do the calls. They don't know it's your first time doing it or not, and so. Then they would ask for a reference, or they would want to just see, well, what are, because they could see directionally. If any customer's using it and having a good experience, and your target customer using it is the ones that they have as their customer base, then they see the value in it. And so they ask for references. I give them 3, and they're like, do you have any more? I'm like, give them 1 more. Don't tweet this. They never asked for a 5th. Like, we had 4. That's it. That's all we gave them, and they were good. And so the issue is we had to have the conversation because we knew it was going to take 6 months to a year to close them. So if you wait, just add another year to when you might do business with them. And so don't wait. You've got to get out there. Our product was breaking. It had bugs. It wasn't finished. We had customers using it. They saw the value in it. They were willing to say that they saw the value in it. And that was all we needed to just get some of these, some of the largest partnerships you can imagine over the phone or over Zoom, or it used to be WebEx and whatever. So
that's awesome. And one of the things I've always said is that people who are waiting for perfection, they have to have all the things together. They have failure to launch because I don't have this yet. I don't have this yet. I don't have this yet. And each one of my businesses, I didn't have everything. I knew what I was going to deliver. I knew I was going to do my best, even if it wasn't finished yet. I knew they're going to walk away happy because I would make sure, otherwise it'd be free. So I never was worried about it. I always was willing to take the action, imperfect action. But I see a lot of entrepreneurs do exactly what you said. It's like, I'm not ready yet because I don't have everything. And I remember when I had started even Find to Fab, like 10 years ago, it was another business. It was a different corporation and everything else. And the first person I spoke to said yes. And I was like, I took a credit card down. I turned around to my husband. I was like, how do I process this? Like, I literally didn't even know what account we were using, how he was doing it, what he was doing. I was more like, she said, yes, now what do I do? And it was one of those feelings that, it was about taking the action, and people don't always take the action because they want to get it right, or I need all this extra stuff. And I think about it, I didn't have a website yet. I didn't have all the technology. I had very little. I just knew I was going to help people,
you put the systems in place when you need them. I was, the largest partnerships. I'm like, I think it's just best if I email you the contract. We have an online system, but it's easier if I email it because you might want to mark it up and we'll go through a review. I'm like, we had nothing. Like, it was all on a paper napkin, and we had to draw.
The curtain.
Yeah, don't look behind the curtain, right?
There's a great book that echoes that. It's called The Lean Startup that a lot of people should read.
I know well.
Yeah.
I
MVP,
actually
MVP, minimal viable product.
And actually, we were MVC, minimal viable concept.
Yeah, I use that all the time. Minimum viable anything, product, idea, project, ad, whatever it is. Like, what is the minimum amount of effort and time you need to invest to get this out the door now?
And just get feedback and sign people up, and then figure out what
going forward.
Yeah.
Here's a good challenge for us. So Olenek, the bold woman, is from Ireland, and she currently runs a nonprofit organization to empower women, but she's looking to make it a profitable one. All along, we have run free events, paid our way through. Need help, please.
Huh. I actually brought a group of American entrepreneurs over to Ireland 3 years ago, where we worked with Irish entrepreneurs. They have such amazing ideas. Their technology has leapfrogged since a lot of the companies started their headquarters over there. A couple years, they didn't have telephones, but they were the first to have cell phones. So there's a lot they can do. There's a lot of entrepreneur organizations in Ireland that they can tap into, but there's a lot because of Zoom that they can tap into for us. I mean, they're welcome to come and work with us over here at Big, because now that we're all global and virtual, we can work together. So if send her my way, I'll be happy to help her.
Love it. Thank you, Tara. Renee wanted to say that today has been a huge gift, and thank you for creating this platform and amazing guests. She's very grateful. Also, I wanted to throw out there, there's a lot of baby step stuff that can be done before, like the crawling before we run. So if anybody needs help, like assessing just what is their basic footprint on the internet, I'm happy to give free, 30-minute session on what your website says about you, what your reputation says about you, and little things that you can tweak before you actually are ready to be spending a budget on marketing or advertising. Because if you're not findable organically right now, you don't need to be throwing money to represent a bad whatever it is, right? It can be fixed before you start spending dough. So if you want to text Conquer to 44222, I will give out unlimited 30-minute sessions for whoever needs help. I'm happy to be a part of this awesome platform. I feel like everyone else has given a gift, and I'm willing to put myself out there.
All right, thank you. So I want to continue with some other thoughts to even go off of. Right now, we've talked about everything from mindset to business, and one of the things I think is a challenge for people is systems and hiring, is getting people to learn to delegate. So who feels like they'd like to share some wisdom on that? Dolores, go ahead.
Yeah, so system is what makes or breaks a business. And I know in my interview, we started this conversation, but we ran out of time so fast. But the truth is, as I sold one business unit of my business and I spun it off to a bigger company, what I truly sold was my SOPs. Because as a service entrepreneur, you don't have a tangible product.
I just want to say SOP is standard operating procedure for those who don't know it. Okay.
Sorry. Because the truth is, and this is a concept kind of, as I went through it myself, kind of blindly and not knowing what I was doing, what made me realize is that there's not enough of a conversation in our world, which is, for the most part, service entrepreneurs. We literally, our work is our product, and it's sometimes hard to detach ourselves from that. But the truth is that in service entrepreneurship, your IP, your intellectual property, is your standard operating procedures. And if you're able to document that clearly, you now have something you could actually sell almost as a tangible business. And that's what I did with this company. So the truth is, a business that can start getting those standard operating procedures. And let's break that down. What does that mean? If you're a solopreneur and you're just starting, let's say that an email comes in asking about your services and you answer it 10 times a day, hopefully 10 times a day. Well, you should answer it once, grab whatever email you wrote, put it in a Word document, and have a running list of emails you sent, texts you sent, posts you made, and start creating templates out of that email. So that, when you bring an assistant and an inquiry comes in, you just said to the assistant, go to the document, you'll know exactly how to answer it in my voice. And let's say down the road, you say, I'm going to sell this. You literally sell that document and put a value to it, and you're selling a whole company with the operating process. It's like the algorithm of a software.
That's awesome, because it's all the stuff that anything that you have to do more than once belongs in the system.
Exactly. Everything from brushing your teeth to, I mean, we have a system of how to wrap the bow on our clients' gifts and which brand of paper and string we buy or ribbon.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Anyone else want to contribute to that?
Can I just chime in really quick on, when you are creating an SOP, you're always going to have different versions that come up as you're making iterations. Always put the version number on there. I found that out early in my career that I was like, wait, which one is the right one here, right? So make sure that you always put the version number on there. It's just it's like 101, right? Level 101, but make sure that you do that, because if you don't, you will run into challenges when creating an SOP, for sure.
And the date.
Process Street is a great software to do that.
What is it called?
Process Street. And you can run checklists for onboarding. But for us, with the SOPs, we run it on a live Google Doc. So we're always in the live oldest version.
So it's evergreen and continuing to grow. That's awesome. Anyone else want to contribute to that? Okay. Well, I think one of the biggest challenges people have is, one, delegating and hiring, as well as having systems, is for a lot of the smaller entrepreneurs where they're under 5 people, they still have the need to do most of it. I'm the cook, chef, and bottle washer. And the thing about delegating and having, you need an SOP, but also the idea is, how do I delegate? What do I know what to delegate? My rule, as I shared, is anything under $25 an hour is not my job. And even though I say that, I can find myself getting caught in the weeds thinking, well, I need to oversee it. And learning to stop has been a very big deal for me. So what are some of the things that you suggest people do, or what are some great things to delegate that they no longer, that they shouldn't be doing in business?
I think one of the first things they have to do is give up the willingness to give up control. Before they can delegate, they have to be willing to think that someone can do it at their level that they'd be comfortable with. And, entrepreneurs tend to be A personalities, and they tend to want to do a lot of things themselves. And so they have to get to that ability to give up control before they can delegate anything, But I think when you can delegate a section and give them a full project instead of tactics, and then give them ownership of something and give them pride, it's not about how much you can afford to pay them. It's their self-worth associated with it.
Yeah, I'd say a +1 on that. And also, this is about staying in your lane. And I mean, I do this all the time, time, value, and money. Like, can I learn it all? Sure. Can I go figure out how to pick the website tool and build my site and do this or whatever? But stay in the lane. Like, if it's going to take me 6 hours to do something, I'm like, okay, what's my time per hour worth? And in those 6 hours, could I be doing something so much more valuable? And then in turn, pay somebody, or bring in somebody else that can to do some dividing and conquering. And I mean, as I said, I've now have 3 folks that I've brought into the fold during COVID, where I had a little bit more time, and I just won't do it. And it's allowed me to just stay in my lane and be as productive and as I can. And also, it's a great point, just to be able to delegate and give them responsibility, and then also reward with success. I mean, I've had some great things come from others doing stuff, and you got to reward them. And I'm a perfectionist, so I had to give that up a long time ago to just allow for, it's good enough. We always want to just do it to perfection, and we'll never get out of our own way. And that's why products never launch and people stay in close to the vest and this, that, and the other. You got to let all that go, because it's a race against time. When we were talking, I'm sitting here watching the Boston skyline of clouds going by, and when we're talking about, if you're sitting there and working on it to perfection, those clouds going by are your competition that are showing up, and they're going to pass you. And I see that more often than not. So you just, you got to just find ways to be as productive as possible, move as fast and accelerate as fast as you can, and then stay in your lane.
I love that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think that, with your team, if you have a team, a small team of 5, like you said, you get together and you have a little scrum or a huddle, and what the tasks that need to be assigned to who. And then they all take it, and then you'll have a hill chart, so to say. We use a program called Basecamp 3, and it'll let us know, where are they along that path, so that we always know what's going on and you don't have that uncertainty as a business owner. And then if somebody needs to chime in and you're on this whole project management, you can chime in and say, hey, look, I need some support on this in order for me to complete this assignment by the end of this week. And, you don't take on more than you can swallow. You chunk it,
Yeah. Awesome.
And I think that's really sound advice for a small business group.
I've been using Asana and Trello for years as that, and we actually set up a system of like a red, yellow, and green. So we know with the tasks where they are and who's delegated to, so we know whether we have to look at it, if it's review, and where it is. Keeping it really simple is important, as well as a delegation. But I'm with you, Alec. I gave up trying to control everything, and I'm totally a controller. And Sara, you know that I'm totally a controller. But I actually have several of my employees that decide to tell me that they know better than me, which I think is so cool, because I did hire them because they do in their wheelhouse. They do in their wheelhouse, they do. So when I have this great idea and they tell me it can't work, I'm thinking, well, you're going to figure it out, because I want that. But they'll give me their reasons. It's me also, again, I know my lane. I know what I'm really great at. I'm great at the marketing and sales and branding and bringing them out there. And other people, although I have a web development company for 18 years, I know what needs to go in it. I don't need to be building them. And years ago, I built them. I built them for about 10 years. And I was like, I don't need to be building them. These should be other people building them. So that's knowing what lane you're in, and also how to delegate, and and hiring the right people. How do people figure out? So one of the challenges I had, and I mentioned it, not me personally, one of my clients has right now, and I mentioned it when I was on with Dr. Roger, is right now with COVID, there are several of our clients that are having challenges with employees, and Dr. Rogers said you'll get better, but if they don't want to have to train people again, and their people are right now on unemployment because they're making more money on unemployment than they are working, what would be some suggestions you'd have for them?
Well, if you offer them back their job, they have to take it back. They have to take it back, regardless. They have to take it back. You offer them their job. Right now, they have to take their job back, and they have to come off unemployment because you've given them their job back.
She needs
they already work for you.
I hope you're hearing this. You know who you are.
Yeah, they can't stay on unemployment if they have been hired back.
So Dr. Roger, let me give you an example.
Yeah.
I work in the travel space.
Yeah.
So my job was meeting face-to-face with people, right? They can offer me my job back, but they can't ever give me the job that I had.
Yeah.
They can say, you can come back to work and you can be a telemarketer, or you could sit behind a plexiglass wall with a mask on and you get one customer a day, which, by the way, is not making a living. Mm-hmm. So and I'm just giving you an example, right? I'm just trying to play devil's advocate, because I heard what Lisa said, and it's like, well, how do you overcome training new people versus dangling the carrot for your people to come back, and you can't give them what they used to have? Yeah,
well, if they are a W-2 employee, you have to give them what their W-2 pay was, right? If they're a 1099, this doesn't even matter in this conversation, because it only applies to W-2 employees.
Well, they wouldn't be on unemployment if they
wouldn't be on unemployment. Okay, so they wouldn't be on unemployment. Okay, so that's
what if they're commission only W-2 employees?
Well, I guess it all depends on where it is, right? But you can create a bonus structure or another strategy, and that's what I would be doing. Like, I recently just created a strategy, an elevation strategy for one of my docs, right? And I put little increments in place, and this is what you need to do. It's all performance based, right?
I love that.
Yeah. So you create strategies that are more wrapped around performance, which makes them strive more, and that's how you get the A players anyway. The ones who aren't willing to do that, you don't want them on your team, really, quite honestly, because they're not really aligned with your core values. You also want people who are aligned with your core values. Like, that's extremely important, and that they live inside of whatever your mission statement may be inside of your practice, right? And every single employee should know that as well and really own it. It should just be living inside of them. It shouldn't be a job. It should be a mission with whatever they do, or they really don't belong in your space anyway, right?
Yeah.
So that's my suggestion on that.
And
I love that.
Martha just shared that 1099 people can collect unemployment under COVID. They're actually making it available.
Okay.
I didn't know that. So.
Oh yeah, self-employed people are actually entitled to unemployment, which has never been a thing in the past. There's also, I did a video on EIDL. I know 9 people that reached out to me that said that they actually got funded, and they were small businesses with not a lot of money on the books. Some of them were even in network marketing. So it's just asking. If you don't know what's available to you, you need to start asking, hey, what am I eligible for? How do I apply for this? How do I qualify? I don't qualify for, I'm not getting $1,200 from the government for whatever. Like, I'm not in that space, right?
Yeah, me too.
Me too. Okay, so here's
congratulations, you get nothing.
Yay! So here's what I like to do. As we're gonna wrap up, I would love to hear. As I said, I've been asking for some wisdom for the Thriving Entrepreneurs Playbook, and I'm just going to go around to each one of you. If you can give whatever pearls you feel comes to you that is needed right now, because I have to say before you do, thank you, because for what you all have supplied. And for what I didn't thank enough people, Alec, you're counting. For what everybody gave us today, I am so appreciative. I think the value was amazing. I mean, above and beyond for what you've offered everybody listening, for the information. We're going to make sure they get it. For those that registered, we'll be making sure all your links are available to them. We'll be going out in emails to them. We'll make sure it's out in the social media. I love you. Thank you for everything. I think that we've totally served our entrepreneurs in the highest level I could have ever imagined. This is better than I ever thought it would be. And I'm emotional, but I mean it. So thank you.